No, but
There you go.
I hope we're on. I'm just not talking to plain air. But hey, Adrian.
I'll check online right now.
Okay, good deal. Thank you so much, Adrian. We'll do our best here, and let's hope we don't mess this all up. But
You guys got this. You'll be fine.
all right, Adrian, take care.
You too.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Hello, everyone out there in R&R land. It is me, Gus, and we've got a couple of people here who've not been here for a couple of minutes, right? But they're back, thank God. The family is back, all 20 of them, right, Melissa? No, they were back. Where'd y'all go?
Maine.
Where?
Maine.
Well, he says it Maine. You see, you had that Texas drawl. Now you got like a northeastern drawl or northeastern accent? You gotta say it in Texas. I'm joking. Well, you guys are back. I'm so glad that you are back. Go ahead and say your name.
I'm Elias.
I'm Josiah.
I'm David.
And David. David is back with us as well. And thank you and welcome joining us today for our take on Job 8 for R&R. Thank you for joining us. And we have Melissa out there as well. And so what we're trying to do, and we're trying to figure out how to see who's on and how we can, I guess, see the comments and what have you. They always help. But nonetheless, we are here and we're very, very, very blessed to be here. Thank God. And I think we're going to make the best out of this. If you haven't noticed, there's a particular person, a very important piece of this cog that's missing. That's Adrian. Adrian is with his family right now. And so we wish you the best, Adrian. We wish you to be safe. What have you, and for your travels. I'm not sure if I read that right, but I think some of your family may be out of town or what have you. We ask that God place that hedge of protection, special protection around them and their travels. Okay, so we're here, and at the risk of me continuing to just blab on, I'm going to go ahead and just start opening this up and. Let's talk about what we're blessed with, or if there's any petitions or prayers, that we have. Hey, David, you want to start?
For boxing, I started. I'm not sure if I mentioned it last time, but I started boxing. So I'm excited. And for my physics, I didn't do so good in my test last Friday, but I am proud of the score, so that's that.
No, that's good. That's good. And this is where he decides to tell me about his grade.
I already told you.
We'll talk later. No, that's good. That's good. Sir?
I'm happy I'm back here. Here, on R&R. I haven't been here for like 3 months.
You haven't. It's been 3 months, huh?
Mm-hmm.
3 months. And I turned and noticed you got kind of a thing going there and a little bit more. Well, that's good. So you're good. Good deal. Blessed to be back. What else?
That thing last Sabbath, that went pretty well.
Convocation.
Yeah.
The one over there in the in Central El Paso.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yes.
The speaker was it Richie? Oh, it was awesome.
Halverson.
Yes,
Yes.
he was awesome.
Yes.
It was pretty fun.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you had a good time. What about you?
Practically the same thing. Safe travels. And being able to get back here safely and hang out with friends.
Good deal. Yeah, we missed you guys. I know some of church members were taking care of some little family members that were left behind. Oreo and who else? Or
It was just Oreo.
just Oreo? Okay. Well, I'm glad you all are reunited. Myself, this has been a pretty tough couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks now. There's been some sicknesses in my family. Right now, Eileen is still kind of battling it. She's towards the end of it. My back. I mean, I've got to get a bit more in shape. I got to get more healthy. And my back went out on me. I actually ended up in the hospital. Couldn't move. It was the worst. Oh, it was horrible. So, I'm on some muscle relaxants and and what have you. So. We'll take care of that, and hopefully the doctors don't find anything too bad with me. So I've got some doctor's appointments coming up, so you just keep that in prayer. Melissa, you got anything? Or
just keep traveling mercies for my husband.
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm very happy to be back. We feel very blessed.
Good.
And God blessed us with a new vehicle.
Oh, good deal. I know you were looking for one. So Melissa says that, to keep traveling mercies for Joe, that it's very uneventful and he comes back in one piece and well and happy. And she's also very happy that God blessed them with a brand new vehicle. What is it?
It's a Yukon Denali.
Oh, a nice big vehicle. That's good. Well, you need that. That's good. So yeah, no, thank you, Jesus, and He is merciful and wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and choose who goes next or who prays. Unless one of you two want to pray, because I know you did last time, right? Which one wants to pray?
Moses first.
Go for it. Go ahead and pray.
Dear Jesus, please be with us as we study Job chapter 8. Please be with everyone else, and please help, if Pastor comes, help him come here safely. And thank you for protecting us as we came back to Texas from Maine. And thank you for this wonderful time. Amen.
Amen. All right, so last time we were on chapter 7. What if anything, and I know you two weren't with us at that point. David, you were with us. What do you remember specifically about chapter 7, if you remember any of it? What stands out?
I don't remember much.
Well, I read it.
What'd you think?
Job was complaining a lot.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
yes.
A lot.
I remember now.
Tell us, what was he complaining about?
About,
Anything important happened to him?
well, the whole, was it boils? Complaining about his boils.
Mm-hmm.
I think was it verse 5? It sounds weird, but my flesh is caked with worms and dust. My skin is cracked and breaks up afresh. Like having worms.
Well, just the skin cracking.
Yeah.
and what have you. Yeah, so this guy's, he's not doing too well, right?
I
at
can
this
see
point.
why he's complaining, but
And so now we find ourselves, he's with his friends at this point, right? He's with a couple of buddies, 3, right? 3 friends, and it's the 4 of them, and they're, I imagine this. They're probably near a small little table or something, and they're just around it, and they just came off of a 7-day hiatus or something where they stayed quiet and what have you, and they meditated and they prayed, perhaps, who knows. But now here we are, and now we find Job complaining. We find his first friend giving his bit of advice. What do you think of that? What did his first friend say? What was it, more or less?
I know that it wasn't really good advice.
In what way?
Negative, I believe. Like negative, not very positive.
Speak out louder.
It was more negative, not positive.
Yeah, it was negative. By the way, just want to point out one thing. So we're not as tech savvy, or I'm not as tech savvy as Adrian, so I don't know if anybody is logged on yet. But if you are logged on, I'm sorry?
Just one.
Somebody is logged on?
Yeah.
Oh, good deal. Who is it? Does it show? Okay. God bless you. We're not sure who it is, but God bless you. And I'm wondering. Well, it could be. Well,
Mr. Adrian.
it might be. Yes, Melissa. Oh, Melissa's checking. And Melissa, please, at any point, just interrupt and we'll take, especially if a comment comes out. Okay? Okay, so yes, and so today we're going to get to 8, and what is 8 about?
Don't know yet.
Not sure? Well, this guy named Bildad, right? His second friend. And David, do you have anything to tell us about where this Bildad is from? What did you tell me in the car? This joke you told me.
Oh, Shuhite?
Oh, yeah, well, tell me the joke.
It was, I said he must be pretty short because he's shoe height.
oh my god.
Wah. It's kind of funny. So I said, what? And I look back and go, oh goodness, yes. So he's a shoe height, yes. That doesn't necessarily, it's not related to his height, of course, but that is where he's from. And of course, it has something to do with his ancestry. If you look back in Genesis, there's certain things that people think he's actually the son of maybe Abraham. I'm not too sure, but in researching all of that, that's what I came across, and so we're not too certain of that. But nonetheless, those are just interesting things. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start off. Go ahead and read verse 1, and we'll go this way.
Then answered Bildad the Shuhite and said,
How long will you speak these things, and the words of your mouth be like a strong wind?
Does God subvert judgment, or does the Almighty pervert justice?
If thy child have sinned against him, and he have cast them away for their transgressions,
If thou wildest seek unto God betimes, and make thy supplication to the Almighty.
If you were pure and upright, surely now he would awake for you, and prosper your rightful dwelling place.
Okay, let's go ahead and stop there. What's going on?
If I understand correctly, his friend's saying the reason why he's having so much trouble is because he sinned.
Because...
Oh, Job's probably sinned or something.
Mm-hmm. You did?
No.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, I was going to say what Josiah said.
yeah.
So anything out of those things that kind of particularly stands out?
Yes. In verse 3, doth God pervert judgment, or doth the Almighty pervert justice?
Well, that's kind of a heavy... Imagine for a second you're helping a friend out and your friend is not doing too well. And your friend is struggling with questions as to why things are happening, the old question, why do good things happen to bad people and why do bad things happen to good people, the things that we tend to struggle with. Imagine your friend struggling with that, or you're struggling with it, and then your buddy comes out with, man, and then if you look at number 2, that kind of makes it worse, but because number 2 says, how long will you speak these things, and the words of your mouth be like a strong wind? What do you think he's trying to say there?
That you just talk.
Yeah. Like, man, you just be talking. What do you think?
Yeah.
Be like a strong wind? And what do strong winds do?
They
blow over.
blow a lot of stuff, take stuff down.
Take stuff down.
They hurt.
Yeah, they can hurt you. What else?
They're strong. Very, be chilly.
Can be destructive, cold, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Like you said, destroy stuff. Yep.
Yeah. And so words can actually be like that. And so then he comes out with a couple of questions. Does God subvert judgment? Do you know what subvert means?
No.
What do you think it might be?
Like hold back.
Okay.
Prevent.
Okay. How about like undermine? Like when you
Belittle?
okay, like make less of, like kind of take away importance from something.
Mm-hmm.
Does God necessarily do that to judgment? Does he kind of, and then he even adds a different word, pervert justice. What do you all think about the word pervert? What does that mean to you?
Corrupt?
Pervert? When you corrupt something? So explain, what do you think he means by that question?
Is it unjust justice?
You mean, is he asking, is God...
Unjust?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the question.
In mine it says, doeth God pervert judgment, or doeth the Almighty pervert justice?
Correct. So, basically, I guess he's asking, is God a bad judge? Did he get this one wrong? And then he gets it to the next one by saying what? If your kids did what?
Sin against him.
So, can you imagine? What do you think about that? What do you guys think about that? He talks about, okay, knowing what has just happened to Job, knowing how important his sons and his daughters were, what about this now?
It's like some guy comes up to you and says, hey, let me hire you. And then you go into the interview and he says, no, you're not hired. It's almost like it's almost like he's, what's the word I'm looking for? Belittling his kids, in a sense. Or his... Does that make sense?
Yeah, what I'm gathering, you're just saying like he's putting down the kids, or...
Yeah, but... Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, do you all remember in the very beginning, I don't want to say it was maybe the first chapter, what would Job do when the kids would party and stuff? Do you remember?
Yeah, you make a sacrifice for them.
Yeah. And why?
Just in case they had sinned and leave while the party was going.
Yeah. So I grew up very, very Catholic, and my mom was very, very Catholic till she passed. And I remember, and you may not all be familiar with this, but Catholic moms, whenever I would go anywhere, I would go to, and especially when I was out of town, I'd go to college out of town. My mom would call me up, she'd pray over me, and she'd give me the little sign of the cross. They do sign of the cross, and she would do that, and it was her way of basically ensuring that I would be safe, if that makes sense. So yeah, Job, he would do that. They'd party, and then he'd go and he'd do sacrifices and stuff like that. Why? Because he was scared of two things important. One, the sins that they did, and the secret sins. Remember that? The sins that were done in secret. So he just wanted to make sure, hey, God, look, we got all this taken care of, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at now. And so, kind of a nice friend there, huh? Is he a little bit rude, or is he kind of a... How would you think of a friend like this? You're suffering, your friend comes out and says, buddy, what is wrong with you? You think God's a bad judge? Your kids may have deserved this. Can you imagine that? What do you think about this friend so far?
Not somebody I would want to rely on.
Yeah, maybe. Rosemary. Say hi to Rosemary. Thank you, Rosemary.
Hi, Rosemary.
So, yeah, maybe not. I mean, not really a nice friend at this point. Maybe not, right? Sometimes friends who are straightforward, maybe sometimes they're, But let's find out. Okay, where did we leave off? I think
number
with
5.
number
8.
8?
No. I think we left. Oh my goodness.
I read 7.
Yes, you
Okay.
did. Okay, go ahead and read. Okay, so
It's your
number
turn.
8 is, for inquire, please, of the former age, and consider the things discovered by their fathers.
For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days are upon earth are a shadow.
Shall not thy teach thee, and tell thee an utter word out of their heart?
Can the
Papyrus?
papyrus grow up without a marsh? Can the reeds flourish without water?
While it is yet green and not cut down, it withers before every other path. Let's go ahead and stop there. So now we're looking at a situation where, well, let me ask you all a question. You ever come across friends that needed your help?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes really bad issues, or not so bad maybe. What do you... Ellen is also on. Thank you, Ellen, for joining us. So you want to say hi to Ellen? Hi, Ellen. And I still got to send you something, Ellen. I haven't forgotten for this weekend, for Sabbath. Nonetheless, so imagine for a second there, you're talking to a friend, and your friend really needs your help, and you come and you talk to your friend, and the first thing's out of your mouth, basically what we have right now is him coming up to them and saying, hey, Job, be quiet, you're a blowhard. You just talk all the time, and, you're like strong wind, and nothing you're saying is of any good. It's just kind of destructive. And by the way, you think God is not a good judge? I mean, obviously your sons and kids deserved it. I mean, they wouldn't have been dead by then. And then he turns and he tells them, maybe you need to turn around and look for God. Supplication, pray, get on your knees, ask for some forgiveness. Because guess what? If you were upright and pure, none of this probably would have happened. You following me, right?
Mhm.
So, go ahead, dude.
That's very hypocritical.
Why do you say?
Because no man is pure, and yet he's telling another man, it's your fault for not being pure.
So, what did God say was Job at the very beginning? Remember?
He's a righteous. And
Yes.
un-
Not unblameless. Well,
Yeah.
blameless, blameless and righteous. Correct? Does that mean pure?
No.
It doesn't, does it? Why not? What's the difference?
Well, everybody sins. Everybody has.
Pure is something that's not tainted.
Okay. Pure water is not tainted with chemicals, right? So are all men, or are there any men that are pure?
No.
Okay. But when we talk about blameless and we talk about righteous,
Rosemary says they sure made a lot of assumptions.
they absolutely did make a lot of assumptions. And that's actually the point that I'm getting to. That is absolutely a wonderful point. There's a lot of assumptions. So we're to the point now where they're making, well, this one friend is making a lot of assumptions. So you put yourself back into that situation where you're talking to your friend. What would you tell your friend? Something, let's say your friend lost his mom and dad. What would you tell your friend?
I try to sympathize with them.
Sympathize? But what would you say? Like, what would you actually say to this person?
I don't know.
What would you not say? Let's ask that. What would you not say?
That he's going to hell.
That's a good one. Yeah, you would go, hey, Dad, you're going to hell. Yeah, no, that's right. You're absolutely right. What else? What else? What else would you not tell them?
Probably it's okay. I mean, I know a lot of people that don't like that word when they're feeling.
Oh, that is
sad.
really good. Hey, don't worry about it. Things will get better. That statement. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bound to happen.
Oh, yeah. Melissa says, yeah, it's bound to happen. Yeah, I mean, look at the way you're living. I mean, this was going to happen at some point, right? I mean, yeah, what do you think? What would you not tell your friend? Parents just died, maybe family tragedy.
Rosemary also says the last thing that they would want to hear is blame.
Blame. Absolutely. And so Rosemary's touching on some really good points. What would you say? What would you not say to your friend?
So many. I'm trying to think. They deserved it. I wouldn't say that, and yeah, don't say that.
Blaming, right?
Yeah.
And so it's important that we understand, Miss Rosemary brought up a good point. What I've noticed here, what I've been noticing is that the friends are not quite addressing Job's issue with God in mind. They're addressing it within their own experiences, within their own understanding of why things happen. And so one of the things that I really wanted to drive home was, and Rosemary's correct, I think sometimes when we try to help people, we tend to, I guess, give them consejos, what do you call it in English? Advice. And our advice is basically earthbound advice, stuff that we experience in our lives, right? But many a times, and when you rub some dirt into there, or rub some mayonnaise on that burn, whatever, we say those things, what have you. But the truth of the matter is what we ought to be doing is what. So we talked about the things that you shouldn't say to your friends. What should you probably say to your friend? Just something, one thing. What would you tell your friend in that situation?
God is there.
God is there. What else?
I'm praying for you.
I'm praying for you. We're getting close. God is there. I'm praying for you. What do you think?
How you can help.
And how can you help? How can you help?
By being there to encourage him and lift him up when he needs it.
And so what's a good way of encouraging somebody when they need it?
Praying.
Oh, there it is. Praise Jesus. Yeah, absolutely. So now we're on verse 12, and we're more than halfway through this chapter, and all they've done so far is what? All he's done so far is what? Critiqued him, called him names, blame. And then he also, there's a part there where he was saying, well, maybe if you just do this or prostrate yourself and do these types of things, maybe God will listen, whatever. Kind of like trying to work for some sort of help, right?
Rosemary also said to lean into Jesus.
And why is that important?
She fixed her word. She said unto. To lean unto Jesus.
Yes. And that's absolutely a good, yeah. And why is that important?
What's that one verse? John 13:11, I think.
What's that? John,
13:11, I think.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You say John 13?
Yes.
And you said what verse?
11, I think.
Okay, go ahead and read it.
Oh no, it's not this one. Maybe it's 13:11. I mean 11:13.
11:13.
Hold up, I have it on my phone.
Okay.
Oh, 15:11.
15:11. We were close. John, correct?
Yes, 15:11.
And guys, you know, I was actually in Luke at that point, so that was actually pretty off. Okay, so read 15:11. What does it say?
Do you think these things I have spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full?
What does that mean to you? As far as, remember, Miss Rosemary said to lean unto Jesus. So what does that mean to you?
He'll bring you peace
If you do what?
if you lean onto him and pray with him, be with him.
Because absent that, then you have no purpose, correct? You understand what his purpose is if you don't at least lean into him.
Most people, when they have people that die or something, they just close the door and they don't want anything to do with God. But if you leave it open and you let him come in, then he'll actually help you.
So that's a good point. You know, he said that, you know, a lot of times when there's death, especially death or things that we don't understand, we tend to try to
close the door
and not
let him guide you through.
Why do you think we do that?
Miss Rosemary says, he will see you through it.
He will absolutely see you through it. But do you see that, how that's missing in this? Do you see how that's missing here? Mm-hmm. Does he at any point say any of that to him? And we're already almost well through 12. Is there anything here, any verse here that that stands out to you? So I'm a plant lover, guys. I love plants. What are you going to say?
Verse 11, can the rush grow up without mire, and can the flag grow without water? Correct, like saying that he needs Jesus, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so my version says the papyrus grow up without a marsh, and can the reeds flourish without water? So if you understand those two types of plants or those two types of vegetation, it's a vegetation that grows very quickly. Somewhat, I don't know if it's a pretty vegetation or not, if it's, you know, but its vegetation grows really rather quickly. However, it needs a marsh and needs water, and most importantly, it's very, very brittle. It's not a very strong plant. You know, we see reeds and this and that throughout the Bible and how they go along with the wind and what have you. Why? Because they're not very well established. What do you think he's trying to talk to him? He's saying, it's almost as if he's comparing him to this, huh? What do you think?
That I'm guessing that he needs to pray more and that he needs God. Practice saying that he's fallen away or done something and God wasn't there and he fell over, like without water.
Without water, without foundation.
Yeah.
How about you, Josiah?
Yeah. But so I was thinking the half through the verse, I put like just what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Can the I did this. Can you flourish without God instead of like reeds and water? I took that out for like his friend like asking Job like, can you flourish without God? Like asking him whatever. Well, like Elias said, he was telling Job that he needs God.
So you think he's telling him right now that, hey, guy, you need God, or do you think he's asking him, where do you think he's going with this? Remember, this is a friend who hasn't been very helpful yet, has he?
So I don't know.
What do you think, David?
I might be far-fetched, but it seemed like he was saying that God is water in the sense of water brings life,
Oh,
and God is life. In that sense.
everlasting water, right? So, and water, believe it or not, can be a foundation. It can be a very powerful foundation, you know.
But can it weaken foundation as well?
It can absolutely weaken foundation. It's absolutely correct. But again, I think what we're focusing here is the fact that you're right, Josiah. Elias, David, we do need God. Rosemary said it right. We need to lean unto Him and only unto Him. Otherwise, we can do all this other stuff, and it's not going to matter. Nothing's going to matter. Let's go ahead and begin number 13. I'm not sure where we left off. Go for it.
So are the paths of all that forget God, and the hypocrites' hope shall perish.
Whose hope shall be cut off, and whose trust shall be a spider web.
He leans on his house, but it does not stand. He holds it fast, but it does not endure.
He grows green in the sun, and his branches spread out in his garden.
His roots are wrapped about the heap, and seeth the place of stones.
If he destroyed his place, then it shall deny him, saying, I have not seen thee.
Okay, let's go ahead and stop right there. So these last 1, 2, let's see, where did we end? We ended on 18. These last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 verses, more or less, are all describing that plant, that papyrus, that vegetation. What do you find to be the most descriptive of all these verses that we just read? Go ahead, what do you think?
18. If you destroy him from his place, then it shall deny him, saying, I have not seen thee. Like if he were to have sinned against God or done something, then God would have denied him, and that's why this is all upon him. I'm guessing.
Yeah, and so this friend is telling him this, right? He's kind of telling him, do you feel like that's a correct characterization of God, or maybe he's kind of not getting it, is he? What do you think? Is he getting it right, or is he getting it wrong? I mean, what do you think?
Well, it could be, but I don't think God would just ditch you like that. He would still be there, but if you don't want him, he's not going to be there.
He's never going to force you.
Yeah,
That's what you're
you
saying.
have a choice.
Right. David, what do you think? What catches you out of these verses that describe the papyrus?
Number 14.
Papyrus. Papyrus? Yeah, I think that's papyrus.
Whose hope shall be cut off, and whose trust shall be a spider web.
Spider web. What do you think about that?
It's kind of like saying that the trust or like the bond is weak.
So is the spider web generally weak?
Yes.
Okay. So let's take a look at that a little bit. How many of you like to play with critters? Yeah, that's a silly question. If you knew these guys, right? Have you all seen spider webs up and close?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about them?
They're unique. Yeah, cool design.
Cool design?
They look weak
But
for to us, but not to the bugs that the spiders are trying to catch.
So the spider puts up the web for a reason, right?
Mhm.
What is it mainly for?
Catching food.
Catching food, huh? Would you say also to live? Because I think a lot of people think that spiders live on their webs, but I don't know if that's true, is it?
well, if they don't have anything to catch their food for them, then it's a lot harder for them. They rely on their web.
So they rely on their web for what? Sustenance, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So read that sentence, read that verse again. Whose confidence shall be cut off, and whose trust is a spider's web.
Deceiving. That's what I got from it.
Deceiving who?
The small-minded people.
Well, okay. So how does this wrap up with? Remember, he's talking to Job, and he's telling him. Remember, this is a description of that plant.
Miss Melissa says the Bible spider webs can symbolize deception, frequent. What did you say, Miss?
What's that?
What did you say?
Oh, it went away.
Yes.
What else is the Bible? There's different texts in the Bible
Mhm.
that indicate different webs, and it can symbolize deception, fertility, and inability to hide from God. And one of that would be Isaiah 59:5.
Someone read Isaiah 59:5. You are all hitting it, and that's yes, absolutely. 59:5. Isaiah
They
59:5.
hatch crocodiles, eggs, and weave the spider web. He that eateth
Edith.
of their eggs dieth, and that which is crushed broketh out unto a viper.
What does yours say?
Oh, so they hatch vipers, eggs, and weaved the spider's web. He who eats of their eggs die, and from that which is crushed a viper breaks out.
So we are looking at a spider's web. You see, when you look at a spider's web, one of the things that you're going to notice about a spider's web is that they're intricately made, aren't they? And you can kind of go, you can't go around in a circle necessarily, but you can kind of get lost in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that deception? Does deception lead you to the point?
No.
Where does it take you?
Off the path.
Off course, off the path. Where? Away. It is deceptive. And here it's talking about how this plant that is not very, it grows and it looks nice and it's hollow and what have you. It's kind of like the hypocrites, it says. Their confidence will be cut off and their trust is like a spider's web.
Job 8:14, it says that the people forget their trust shall be a spider web, meaning it will be fragile.
Very fragile. And yes, you're correct. A spider's web is intended to keep and catch its little flies and what have you, but in the grand scheme of things, a spider's web is very fragile. It's intricate, it's fragile, and oddly enough, and if you think about deception, it takes time to make. It takes time to make, it takes time to generate, it takes time to create, and when it's the truth just kind of happens, right? When facts happen, fact happens, right? That's it. But when it's a lie or when it's something you're making something up, it kind of just leads its own story. And many a times you forget where you're going and you forget what your own lies are. And so spiderweb, that's a very, very important part there. What else, David? Anybody else? Anything else? And so I like this part where he said he leans on his house, but it does not stand. He holds it fast, but it does not endure. So all of this, he's kind of referring to Job as what? A reed, as something that is just not stuck in foundation, right?
Rosemary says it is also pretty and fragile, that if you touch it, it will snare you.
Yeah, so let me ask you guys a question. I remember when I was a young kid, and I haven't felt it recently. Lori, hello, Lori. Glad to have you on, Lori. But I remember as a kid, and I haven't felt it in a long time, but I remember as a kid, I grew up in in central El Paso, and we had a lot of rock walls and stuff, and, a particular spider loves to live near rock walls. The black widow. If you've never, so the black widow's kind of people may argue with me, but that's not a spider you really want to mess with. But I remember I would ride my bike and I would come across it without fail. I'd come across a web. Hi, Lori. I'd come across a web and then I'd just freak out because I'm thinking, there's a spider located. I've got a spider on my head and it's probably a black widow and I'm going to die within the next hour, that type of stuff. But the reason I bring that up is because Rosemary, what did Rosemary say about the spider web? That it's what? It's delicate?
It's delicate and fragile.
And that it does what?
Snares when you touch it.
That's right. So even though it wasn't big enough to it was big enough to catch my attention. It was sticky enough to catch my make me fear, make me worry, make me lose sight on God, lose sight on those types of things that were important to me. I was worried about getting bitten, and so yes.
And like when you said, which one was it? But the house. It was when he leans upon his house, but it shall not stand. And he said like how he doesn't have a firm foundation, almost like a house built on the sand.
Yes.
It looks beautiful, a nice place, but when the storm actually comes, it can't stand anything.
And so this is all him criticizing who?
Job.
Let's go ahead and begin with 19. Who read last?
I think.
Can't remember.
Go ahead. You read 19, David, and then we'll end at 22.
Behold, this is my joy of this way, and out of the earth shall others grow.
Behold, God will not chase away the blameless, nor will he uphold the evildoers.
He will fill your mouth with laughing, and your lips with rejoicing.
They that hate thee shall be clothed with shame, and the dwelling place of the wicked shall come to naught.
So we kind of think he ends there on a good note, maybe, by telling him, look, here's the hope and here's the thing and what have you. But go ahead.
No,
What do you think he's actually... One of you said it earlier. What do you think he's telling Job here?
well, if you read verse 20, it says,
Rosemary says, wasn't Lucifer the same, beautiful, yet he also wanted to snare you?
And he does snare. And he's really good at snaring. And yes, Rosemary, and the whole idea to snare is to not just trap you. See, people think when you're in a snare, it's a trap and that you're now done for and you're not going to get... No, but the snare is also intended to remove you conscientiously, whatever, from the focus of God or focus of the hope that we've got in other things. So when you're snared in sin, not only are you deep in it, but you've also lost sight on that he who can help you through this. We forget he's there with us. Yes, thank you very much, Rosemary. So now we see these last four things. What do you think? What do you think he's saying here?
well, verse 20, it says, behold, God will not cast away a perfect man, neither will he help the evildoers. So it sounds like he's saying that if he were perfect and had what God wanted to done, God would not have done this all to him.
That's a great angle. One of you mentioned it earlier. Hey, man, I know your mom and dad died, but hey, look at the bright side. Look at the good side here. Now you won't have your mom and dad waking you up in the morning. Right? I mean, that's what it kind of sounds like. What do you think, David? Right?
Okay.
What do you think, David?
If I was in that situation of my parents were to die, the last thing I would want to hear is that. That would be the last thing I want to hear because, well, I mean, you're my parents.
Mm-hmm.
It would suck for me to go about life knowing I don't have you guys. Even though I know that's gonna happen, it would still suck.
Yes. How about you, Josiah?
I agree with him.
And you?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't want somebody to come up and telling me that. It would feel a little awkward. Trying to give them advice that doesn't really need to be told when it's happening.
I start throwing fists.
So when you see all of this, when we look back at verse or chapter 8, what is chapter 8 teaching you? What is it taught you, David? What have you gotten from
Doubt.
the whole?
Law of doubt.
I'm sorry?
Doubt.
What about doubt?
It's very poisoning to the mind what this guy is saying to Job, especially on when it went to his sons, and then it described how they weren't perfect, so it's their fault. why they got killed, and then it went to him. It's very doubtful.
He's causing more harm than good, right? Absolutely. Josiah, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I think Job needed to pick some new friends.
Well, okay, that's a good point. I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think?
It's very, like David said, doubtful. It doesn't really help you. It just kind of just drains you down. He's not there to support him. He's just there to
Feels almost like the critique.
giving advice that he thinks is good, but it's not
Yeah,
the
that's
good advice for what's happening at that time.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. You brought up a very good point. But then I also have to ask you this. Okay, so he ought to look for other friends, perhaps. But is Job any different than them?
No.
What should Job be saying at this point? So think about this. You know the character of God, and you understand. Well, we're not going to understand fully the character of God. My point being, somebody said something.
Yeah, I missed it.
Whoever said it, just say it again, please.
Amen.
Oh, and so here's the thing. When you want to talk to somebody who's in this position, and let's say you're in that position, God forbid, but we're all going to go through these things at times in our life. One of the last things we want to hear is criticism about ourselves, about the way we're handling it. Hey, come on, just cheer up, man. Why are you so sad? Come on, get over it, dude. I have a shirt, and it's one of my favorite shirts. What does it say, David? It's red. What is it? And it's, I don't know why it's my favorite shirt. I just enjoy it. It says, get over it.
Oh.
Yeah, but however bad or well that might be, the point being, we take a look at the individual that, okay, it's easy to see what the friend is doing and how poorly the friend is acting. But think about Job for a second. What should Job be doing? Is he any different than them?
No,
Why is he not any different? What is he doing that's the exact same thing that his friend is doing?
Blaming himself. Like in the last chapter.
There it is.
He was literally saying how he wished he wasn't born.
He would die, he'd rather sleep, and remember all this type of stuff? And so I'm thinking to myself, in all of chapter 8, all they did was lean on who? That's right, Melissa said themselves. That's absolutely correct. All they did was lean on themselves. That was it. When in fact they should have done what?
Leaned on God.
Leaned on God, correct? Just as Rosemary said. Absolutely. So, any last parting ideas or thoughts on chapter 8? Anything that will springboard us into next week? Nothing much? What do you think?
Oh, I want to say, I remember reading, I believe it was chapter 6 or 4, and I remember reading about how his friends were there,
Mm-hmm.
and it led me to start thinking about this, like, yeah, we know how poorly he's being, but it's almost like he was saying, it's almost like, what's his name? Bildad?
Bildad, yes. Bildad.
Ended up being what he said in the second verse.
Which is?
Just someone who is talking.
And so where does it take you then? Where does that take you?
He had the right intentions. I believe so. But he wasn't clear with what he wanted to say. And so I feel like that led to a lot of doubt for Job.
For Job. It just made things worse. Pretty much, right? And while you were saying that, I was trying to look up Brother Steele sent something during this week, and Brother Steele, I wish I was looking for it, and I hope you can resend it. I can't find it anymore, but he summarized it very well, and it had to deal with us searching for Christ first. Of course, we look back at the cross now, and we know what that established for us, and so focusing more on leaning on Christ and what He can do with or without answers, as opposed to leaning on our own experiences. Correct? Right. Well, so I mean that's all we've got for Job 8. It was a very, very interesting subject. I hope we did this well, Adrian. I don't know how you do this week in and week out. I don't know how, but you're absolutely a blessing, Adrian, and thank you for this ministry. It's
Miss
very,
Rosemary
very...
says, thank you so much. Awesome lesson. All of you did great.
Oh,
Praise
thank
God.
you, Rosemary. You are absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for that. But again, just we missed you, Adrian. So hopefully you'll be back next week, and we'll take it from there, right, guys? Right. All right. So if there's nothing else, thank you, Miss Rosemary. Thank you, Lori. Who else? Ellen. Thank you, Ellen. Yes, thank you, Ellen. Melissa, for being back there helping us. Adrian. Godspeed. I hope your family is well. Michelle as well. Family at Northeast. We welcome you this week, and Pastor House will be preaching, and so it looks like a very good sermon. So please come on out. Who? Oh, Regional is on. Hey, I haven't talked to you in a couple of minutes. That's been a while. I hope you're doing well, Regional. It's good to hear that you're on, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Otherwise, I think that's about it. So you gave us prayer, correct? You go ahead and close us out.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything you've given to us in this lesson, and please help us to take this lesson and apply it to our lives. And please help us to be able to get more out of it next week, dear Lord. Amen.
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 Good deal. Adrian, thank you, but this is yours. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.